Flower, who is now high up in the air, some 200 feet away from the dragon, makes a victory gesture with her right fist as soon as she starts the explosions. She sees the explosion. Nice job distracting him, Barry, Flower says as she gives a thumbs up while still floating in the air with the aid of her fire jets coming out of her feet. Watch out, I shout at her. The dragon is immune to fire. Even if he's immune to fire, Luna says, the impact from the implosion still is going to leave a mark. Well, you heard her, Flower says with a smirk. One more fireball coming up. The girl then creates a spinning ball of fire between her hands and she sends it flying toward the dragon, making it explode on impact. So this is the dragon that you guys were talking about, Hardrick says with half of a grin, the look of both excitement and apprehension in his eyes. Let's see what he's made of then. Hardrick then turns into a giant eagle and soars into the sky towards the dragon. Flower makes sure to stop her fireballs when she sees him. As soon as Hardrick positions himself between Tyrant, he turns back into his usual dwarf form, making a dive towards the dragon and punching him in the back. Hardrick's strong was so strong that we heard it from all the way down here, sent the dragon flying a few dozen feet towards the ground. The dwarf then turns back into an eagle. He flies away, waiting to see what his opponent will do next. The dragon looks furious. It seems that he's planning to go out from the start this time around. Before Flower gets to cast a new fireball, the dragon disappears from where he was oh right, he has a spatial ability previously, and he reappears right in front of her, slashing at her with one of his claws. Flower reacts immediately and uses a jet of fire from her left hand to push her to the side out of the claw's reach. Flower wastes no time and he teleports again right behind Flower. This time it is Luna who quickly turns around and she uses 2 water jets from her hand to push the dragon, also push herself away from him at the same time. While the girl and the dragon repeat the same motion few more times, Kate is preparing a very large cone of ice in the air above her, getting ready to send it flying towards Tyrat. Kate, this is going to work, Darren tells her. As he sees her preparing her ice cone. Don't you remember how things went the last time we fought him? Ice cone don't seem to didn't affect him at all. If you could use one of your ice platform to fly me all the way into the sky, maybe I could manage to hurt him with my sword. This won't be like last time, Kate says with a determined look on her face. Now that I know the full extent of my enemy's power, I no longer have the luxury to worry about conserving my magical energy. This time I'm going to fight him with all I've got, even if I end up fainting from exhaustion. Damn it, listen to me, Darren says. Kate ignores him. She surrounds herself in a cage made of ice, and that she can then uses to lift herself in the air so she can get a better view of a target. The cone of ice that she's creating is definitely looking a lot different from anything she's ever made before. It looks as sharp and durable as elven steel, and it is simply radiating magical energy. Feels like the whole area around it is trembling from the magical power that is being pumped into that one ice cone. Once the creation process is complete, the cone starts turning by itself, following the dragon's movement. After Tyrant teleports a few more times in order to attack Flower, Hardrick eventually catches up to him. Again in his eagle form, he turns into a dwarf once again and punches him right in the face. The dragon gets briefly stunned by the dwarf's attack. The Kate uses the opportunity to attack her ice cone at her target. The extremely powerful explosion of air behind the ice cone as it gets sent straight into the dragon's chest with an incredible speed. Oh wait, what? Extremely powerful. Oh wow, she sent it at like supersonic speeds. She broke the sound barrier with it. That's incredible. As it gets sent straight into the dragon's chest at an incredible speed. The icicle penetrates Tyrat's tough hide and he lets out a very loud roar, which almost makes everyone lose their consciousness, even while they're desperately trying to cover their ears. The dragon then yanks the ice cone out of his chest with his claw. He then teleports right next to Kate, who is now barely even able to stand on her feet inside a floating ice cage due to dragon's roar from before. Just as the dragon is about to burn her alive with his fire breath, a golden cage appears out of nowhere, trapping him inside. This does not stop Tyrat from breathing his fire, but somehow none of the flames manage to pass through the cage bar. They eventually die out by themselves. The fox's cage, Tyrat says. He then turns around, looking straight at Iluna. Is this your doing? He asks her. I have had enough of your annoying teleporting, Iluna says. Going to stay put for a few minutes, do you understand? How is this going to help you in any way? Tyrat says. I'm not able to attack you from inside the cage, but neither are you. All you've done is wasting your time. Not exactly, Luna says. Flower then starts to move around the dragon's cage with her fire jets, creating balls of fire with her hands, then leaving them floating. Oh, it's a Hellzone grenade. Not a Hellzone grenade. What was it called? I remember Piccolo using it against 17. Yeah, whatever it was called, but I think it was a Hellzone grenade, but I'm not sure. Flower then... where did I even pick up the terminology Hellzone grenade? But okay. Flower then starts, creating balls of fire with her hands and leaving them floating one by one all around the cage. "I'd like to see you handle all of these at once, King of Dragons," Flower says with a smirk. Dragon scoffs and he begins to cast a series of protection spell on himself, getting prepared for the moment when the cage disappeared. Kate is now also preparing as many of her newly designed ice cones as she can. Although judging by expression on her face, this process is definitely wearing her out much faster than her usual means of casting magic. "I don't know if you can keep this up much longer, damn it. There has to be something I can do in this situation. Maybe I can find a way to get up there somehow." How would I even get up there? Do I just fly? Oh wait, can I use the spectator man's like floating thing that he was standing in? Was he standing in a floating thing? As I look around, I see to my surprise that the empty spectator arena is now slowly being filled with hundreds of persons dressed in guard uniforms, and many of them are holding some very peculiar weapons in their hands. In the meantime, some other people are pushing several flying machines into the arena's fighting area. Machines look similar to the flying contraption built by gnomes with a larger propeller on top, a long tail in the back, and two wings that help you glide through the air. Propeller is usually powered by a spell cast by an air elementalist, but aside from that, there is no further need for magic in order to help these machines fly. Oh, so it's like a glider. I used to know a gnome a few years ago who would keep making me do flight tests of his prototypes in exchange for information I needed about mages. I remember one of the prototypes being so bad that the propeller actually stopped working while I was in mid-flight and I had to glide all the way down. So I'm nightmares about some of those flights even to this day. So one of the people that's pushed the flying contraption into the arena is now having an argument with the gnome, not very far from position. As I look closer, I realize that the gnome is none other than King Golimuk. "What do you mean the pilots and the gunners aren't here yet?" Golimuk says, "I specifically asked for 3 pilots and gunners to be ready, waiting in case any of the manticores went berserk. Where are they now?" "I apologize, Your Highness," says the man who helped push the machinery. "The manticores were all killed in the first round, so the pilots and gunners went out for a drink. I tried to contact them through the transceiver. They wouldn't answer. Damnations," Gollum says. "I'd pilot one of these myself, but I still need someone to man the gun." He then turns towards us. "You there, gladiators," he says. "You're all in the army now, am I correct? Do any of you have experience piloting aircraft, or any of you at least any good at aiming from moving vehicle? I could use some of your help." I offer to pilot the aircraft. "Yeah, I can use the aircraft. I piloted gnomish flying machines before," I say. "I could give it a try." "Splendid," Gollum says. "Come over here. Barry, was it? I'll teach you the basics. And go help the soldiers," Darren says. "They'll need all the protection they can get if they are planning to start shooting at the dragon." He then rushes. Will bullets do anything? He then rushes towards one of the gates in order to reach the upper levels where the soldiers are currently located. "Now, Barry, listen closely," Gollum says. "Once I reach him, there are your flight controls." He then points towards the cockpit. "Over here, you have control sticks." Gollum continues, "The rudder pedals are down here. You should only make rudder directions for minor adjustments, not for actually turning aircraft. Turning would only be done by using the control stick." "Yes, I know," I tell him. "This lever over here," Gollum says as he points towards the lever on the left side of the cockpit, "is used to attach the pitch to the rotor blade. Increasing the pitch will make your altitude gain altitude, but will also decrease your forward speed. Decreasing the pitch will make you lose altitude. Does that all look familiar to you?" "Yeah," I say. "It's pretty similar to what I piloted in the past. I can handle it." "Perfect," Gollum says. "When I designed these machines, I tried to make the controls as intuitive as possible for people who piloted other gnomish machines in the past. I'm glad to see that my efforts were not wasted." Gnome looks up at the dragon trapped in the golden cage with a thoughtful expression on his face. "Barry," Gollum says, "you wouldn't happen to know how much longer that cage is going to last, would you?" I say, "About 2 minutes, I guess." "Good," Gollum says. "We have plenty of time. Hop in. I'll give you the rest of the instruction during our flight. Make sure you strap yourself in tight. Also, you should wear these goggles." Gollum gives me a pair of protective goggles which I immediately put on, and then I enter the cockpit, strapping myself in. There are only 2 chairs in the cockpit, one for gunner and one for the pilot, back to back. The gnome enters the cockpit as well, seating himself in the chair behind me. They're putting on his straps. So I say as I see the gnome adjusting the turret that is located at the base of the machine's tail. I may be stating the obvious here, but you do realize that normal bullets will not work on dragons, right? Of course, of course. This is why we won't be using regular bullets. The bullets that are loaded into the turret are made of metal that is highly resistant to acid. They have all been coated with acid, which we know for a fact the dragon is weak against. We've had been preparing for a while, since Tyrus had been looming threat for quite some time now. Obviously, even with acid coating, the bullets will likely only moderately inconvenience him, but that's fine since they're only meant as a distraction. The gnome then points towards a button on the control panel. You also have your own weaponry, by the way, Gollum says. Just press that button, the bullets will shoot themselves. Both in the front and the turret operate on the mechanism similar to the cannons that are used on ship, except for the fact that they magically load themselves with black powder and bullets. So you can only need to worry about aiming and shooting. Do try to use these bullets sparingly though. Ammunition is not unlimited. These bullets cost a lot to make.